I'm going to assign 4 more drawings that provide 2 views, and you have to complete the third. They're going to be a little more difficult, so I'm going to teach you some basics of SolidWorks so you can create 3-dimensional models of these drawings to help you better understand what needs to be done on the 2-dimensional drawings. To get started here, we're going to open up SolidWorks. I have mine pinned to my taskbar here. You'll probably have the icon on your desktop. It's SolidWorks 2019. If it's not on your desktop, you can go over to your Start menu, scroll down, SolidWorks 19. If you don't have it, let me know. We need to get that installed on your machine. I'm going to click on SolidWorks. It's going to run through this loading. Depending on some settings, what pops up might not be exactly the same as you see here. If you can't figure out where to go once this comes up, let me know. I'll help you out. But our first step is to start a new part. If you have this screen, you can just click on Part. If this screen shows up, there is the paper here will open up here, and once again, Part. If yours is white, which it probably is, that is just the default UI color scheme. I changed mine to gray. If you want to know how to change it to gray, let me know. I'll show you, but it's not all that important. I'm going to click on Part and say OK. And then you should have your drawing area here, your model space. Over here is your model tree. This will be where all of your features and datum planes such as front, top, and right. Up here is the ribbon. For right now, all we're going to be concerned with is the Features tab and the Sketch tab. Up here is your File, Edit, View, and then some quick shortcut buttons up here. I'm going to create the part P413 from page 462 in your book. And then I have one other drawing I'm going to make, and then I'll let you give this a go. Okay, so I want to start with the front plane. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to Features, and I'm going to click on Extruded Boss Base. And now that oriented to the front plane looking straight at it. Up here are all your tools for sketching. You also have an option called to do mouse gestures, which what I just did there was I held down the right mouse button and I'm just slightly moving the mouse. It doesn't take much to get to each one of these buttons, so like I said, it's a very slight movement. If you want to use this, I have mine set current. Also, you can right click. There's a lot of the tools are in here. But if you want to use that mouse gestures that I was using, it's up here underneath the gear. Click on this arrow, go to Customize, and then it's this mouse gestures tab. And then you have an option to, you can shut it off if you really don't like it. Otherwise, you can change how many gestures are on this little puck here. I have mine set to 12, so that's just your preference. So I'm going to use my mouse gesture and I'm going to make a rectangle. You also can click it there, or like I said, right click and find it here. Okay, so this right here, the red arrows, this is your 0, 0, your origin point. So just like with the AutoCAD, let's try to make all of our sketches come from 0, 0. So I'm going to click here, drag this out. I have some other options here, but I generally just go straight to the dimension. So that was in my gesture there. It's also right here. Or once again, right click, sketch entities, or no, it's right here. There it is, Smart Dimension. So I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to set this to 3.5. And 2.25. Some stuff's going to happen that I want to happen on purpose, so I'm just going to keep drawing this. I want a line. It has an inclined plane here and here. Oops, I screwed that up. But that's a good example. Oops, so if you want to rotate, you hold down the middle mouse button and that will rotate your model or sketch. If you want to, let's zoom in, holding down Shift. Hold down Control, and that will be pan. So middle mouse button and Control, that's pan. I want to bring this back so I'm looking straight at it, so I can either go Control 8 or up here and this button, View Orientation, click down. I have all these different options, and this one is the normal too, and that will bring the view. Apparently you can flip it back and forth, but alright. Okay, so I'm going to go, oh, this is going to show you. Same with AutoCAD. Select an endpoint of a line, you can drag it around, and I can snap it right to this line. Alright, let's do a couple dimensions. The back side is 1.5 inches. And then that one is 1 inch. This is 0.75. That one is 2.5625. Now let's see here. I'm going to use the trim command now. You can click on it up here. If you have as many mouse gestures as I have, it's right here. And also, I believe, once again, sketch tools, and then there is trim. I leave mine on. There's several different trimming options. I leave mine on power trim, and I'll show you how that works. So I'm just going to hold down left click and then drag my mouse, and everything this touches, it trims away. So that's what I was hoping to show you. Because I trimmed away some of those lines, some dimensions were attached to those, so they disappeared. When a line is blue, that means it's undefined. So if I drag on it, it will move. If it's black, that's fully defined and it will not move. If you'll know your sketch is fully defined from down right here, underdefined currently, I need to throw on some more dimensions. So I'm going to come back and do those ones that just got lost. And overall. Alright, so now everything's black. It won't move. I have one more thing I can throw on this sketch. You want to throw as much as you can on these sketches in terms of features, so you're not. I could throw this hole in later, but since it'll be extruding out, you'll see when I'm done with this. So I'm going to dimension this up. .5. And 1.25. We don't need to be terribly concerned about being perfect with this right now. This is just to get you up and running and use this as a tool to better visualize parts. Yeah, okay, I'm getting OCD there. Alright, I'm done with this here. Now you can see this yellow here. This is how far it's going to extrude. You can drag on this arrow, or more accurately come over here and dimension 1 under direction 1. We'll set the distance, which is 2, and then press the green check mark. Now we need to do a couple cuts on this part. So do a cut is, so this is for solids, and here is for cut. So I'm going to click on cut. Now it's asking me to select a plane. I can click on any of these planes to start a sketch, but I'm going to be cutting directly from the top plane, so I'm just going to select the top plane. That was this little arrow right there. Click that and then click on the top. I'm currently in the sketch. You can see the little origin point there, and then these two buttons here designate that I'm also in the sketch. Also, we're on the sketch tab, and you can see exit sketches right there. So I'm going to do Control 8 to go normal 2, or if you want, come up here and click on normal 2. Okay, let's see here. I need a couple rectangles. There's a cut right here, and there's a cut about here. Nice thing about SolidWorks is you kind of be a little carefree with your initial sketching, and then you go in and you define the sizes. So that needs to be 0.5. This one also needs to be 0.5. I can go and dimension it again, or I can also click on this line and this line, and I can set them to equal, or come over here to add relations and set to equal. And okay, let's see here. This has a distance from back here of 3. I had already done this in the previous sketch, but if you're having trouble kind of seeing what you want to be doing, you can always rotate the model by holding down the middle mouse button, just like that. And let's see here, this needs to be from here a distance of 2.75, and there a distance of 3.5. Looks like I grabbed the wrong dimension, so this should be pretty easy to fix. Let me just, so that's 3. Okay, so that makes sense. I'm gonna close this out. So it's currently going yellow this way. I want to cut up this way. I can grab on this arrow and drag it up like this, or click on this reverse direction button over here. I want to just set it to through wall. You can set its size, but if you know you're cutting through it all, I would set this to through wall. Press the check mark. So I screwed up a dimension, which it's no big deal because I can just come over here, click on sketch, and then just double click on this dimension, set it to 4, and then do a Control B to regenerate. Okay, so we're almost done. Now there's one more cut. I gotta go from the right plane, click on extruded cut. I am in the sketch. Control 8 to go normal 2. I'm gonna start up the, oops. Okay, so what I just did there was on the mouse gesture there was a button to exit sketch. So if you're using that, it's a tricky one you can accidentally go to sometimes. I'm going to select a plane. I want right. Okay, I wanted rectangle. Click there to there. This has the same width as this, so I can take this line and select this edge and then make them collinear. And now all I have to do is set the height there, and that is 0.5. Check. Exit the sketch, flip the direction, and set it to through wall. And there's that part. So once holding down the middle mouse button, I can rotate this around. I can go to here and set it to top. If I want to see what kind of hidden lines this part would have, I can go to the button next to it, display style, click on that, and then I have an option right here, hidden lines visible. So we have, there's our top view, our front view, and our right view. Alright, I got one more model I'm going to do, and then you can get to giving this a shot yourself and finish up those drawings I assigned. So I'm going to click New, part and OK. The saving works just similarly as AutoCAD. Click on the save button there, or file, save, Control S, save all, save as. Alright. I'll post a drawing of this drawing I'm working on so you can follow along if you want. I'm going to start on my front plane, click extrude. I need a couple rectangles. I need this to be, it's going to be a symmetrical part, so I'm going to go to line, and just similar to AutoCAD, these are my construction lines. Over here on this left you have some options for, you can click on for construction, and then I also click on infinite length. If you don't do that, it's just a line segment like this, but it's a construction line. I'm going to set this here, and also set one right here. So I want these points to be symmetrical about the center line here. So I'm going to select this point, and then select the symmetry line, and that gives me an option to add this relation. You'll also hear me call them constraints. That's from another program I used to use. So I'm going to click on what popped up there, or over here, click on symmetric. Now these points, when I move them, will be equidistant from the center line. You also can select the lines. So I'm going to select this line and this line. I'm holding down shift to select multiple lines. It's the opposite from AutoCAD. AutoCAD, you could keep selecting and it would select everything. And then to unselect something in AutoCAD, you had to hold down shift. So like, it's just the opposite now. So holding down shift, you can select multiple items. So I'm going to select these three, and now I can set it to symmetric. I'm going to trim out here. I'm going to dimension it. It has a... Okay, so this part is actually metric. So to change metric, we're going to come up to the options button here, click, go to document properties, and then units, and then here we unit system, we have millimeter. I'm going to click there and say OK. So to switch over to millimeters, I can double click on this and it's 14. It has a width of 106. This one has a width of 54. So with a dimension, you can either select points or the entire line, and then that gives you that width of that line. 54. It's got a height of 21. And okay. Oh, there we go. So when I already said this before, but to keep hammering it, if it's blue, it's undefined or underdefined. I want this line to be constrained to this line, or collinear. So I'm going to select this line, this one, and then there's my collinear button. Now, as you can see, everything's black. If I try to drag on it, it won't move. I needed to do a cutout right here. It's got a circle, a reference circle right here. To make that a construction circle, just over here in the options, check construction. Now I need, it's got lines angled and tangent to it. So line, click here, and if I just kind of quick sketch it in, I can add my relations or constraints afterwards. So if I select, let's try something here. Okay, so you kind of have to do it one at a time. So here and here, tangent, there and there, tangent, there and there, tangent. And now I also want it to be symmetrical. Oops, I got something. If you get a relation on there that you don't want, let me see if I can get that to do that again. Yeah, so, okay, that got this guy here. I didn't want that on there. So I can click on that little constraint relation and then just press the delete key. Now it should move again. Okay, I'm just gonna undo a couple times, but just pay attention to these little green things. If you can delete them if they're not letting you do what you want to do. So I want this point, and this is my symmetry line, symmetric. Okay, now I'm going to do some dimensions. This needs to be 32, and this needs to be an angle of 30. I'm going to trim out this line. It's going to cause a problem, but it's a real easy fix. Trim, and see, now it went blue. The center point of the circle was constrained to that line. When I trimmed it away, it lost its constraint. So I need this point and this point to always be horizontal with each other. So selecting this point, holding down shift, that point, horizontal. Okay, that's enough features for this plane. So I'm going to hit the exit sketch button. I'm going to set its distance over here, and that is 52. And now I need to do a cut. So click on the cut. This will be about the right plane, and then Control 8 to go normal 2. Alright, need some. I'm just going to use the line tool real quick. It's got this L shape cut out of the back side of it. $11, 5, and 5. Okay, so I gotta do an arc. Let's try the arc command. Yeah, so that's okay. There we go. It's got a radius of 54. And it goes right to there. So that was a lot easier probably than how you'll have to do it in AutoCAD. If you were to do this part in AutoCAD. Because this arc comes up to this point, we're not going to be able to, let me finish off this shape here. You'll know when you can do an extrude when this, well, let's try that. You can do an extrude when these areas are shaded. So if I delete this line here, there's no shading. So I'm going to close it off and go to there. Alright, exit the sketch, and then I got a couple options here. Blind, through all, or through all both. Because it's on the center plane, I want to do through all both, so it goes in both directions. I think it's going to give me the error I was just talking about. So let me try to hit the check mark, and yep, so it doesn't like that it has more than one open contour. Overlapping is the more overlapping open contours, I believe, is the issue. It's because of this point right here. So if we just have a line that goes up, say, just an inch above that, it will let us, although, let me try something. So that's, okay, I didn't know I could do that. So that's easy. SolidWorks lets you select different contours, so that's all we needed to do. I should be able to hit the check mark. Yep, we're good to go. I guess ignore a lot of the stuff I was just saying. Okay, we have two more things to do. We got a chamfer and some holes. So the chamfer is underneath the fillet, just like in AutoCAD. It's up here. Click there, chamfer, set your distance, which in this case is 13, leave it at 45, and then you just click the edges that you want to apply the chamfer to, and then check mark. So that's done. Now we got 4 holes on the coming from the top plane up, so I'm going to select the top plane, click extruded cut. I'm in my sketch, Control 8, and I'm going to place some circles there, and let me yeah, we'll have to do some relations to these. So I want them all to be the same size, so if I select, let's do this, select them, now I can do make equal there or right here. We want them to be symmetric, so I need a construction line. Selecting the center or the edge of the circle, and your symmetry line will give us the option to apply symmetry. I can repeat that on this one. And now I need to make it so when these will move, come on, selecting the center points of this, I can add a vertical constraint. Now they will move together. Add some dimensions. Oh, I just noticed that's actually, these aren't equal. Not a big deal, but these are actually supposed to be eight. Equal dimension. Instead of going through all that trouble of redoing those relations I did, I just set that to construction, and that won't extrude. It's done. Hit the escape. Make sure it extrudes in the same right direction, and set our distance, and what I want is through wall. Okay, there's that part. This should help. My hope is that this will help you as you create the drawings for the assignment. You can come in, make them in 3D, and see where your errors are, if you have any. Ask as many questions as you have. I will help you grasp this. It will be a little difficult because of the differences in the program. I actually think that's kind of a good practice. In my job, I had to switch back and forth between two different programs, the 3D and the 2D. So it might be a little frustrating at first, but you'll get a handle on it. Have fun.